In the meantime, it is time to get real estate ready with top realtor Stacey Carnes, United Country Wilson Realty. Good morning, Stacey. How are you?
Good morning. Good. How are you?
Wonderful, especially after a certain football game Saturday night.
Yes, I agree.
You were listening?
Listening.
Congratulations on a big victory.
Yes.
All right, real estate. Have you been busy lately, by the way? Before we get into the specifics, have you been busy in real estate?
Very busy. Always busy. People always want to look at houses. They're always asking about houses. It's a good time to sell and buy. It's really a buyer's and seller's market right now.
Let me ask you this: do you do stuff real estate just in Elk City? You do it in the country? You do it in other towns?
Well, I'm only licensed in Oklahoma, so I am just here. But we do the surrounding area. So usually, Weatherford's as far east as I go. Eric is as far west as I go. But we do Mangum. It's about as far south as I'll go.
So licensure for real estate agents is state by state.
Yes.
It's sort of like passing the bar for
Right.
a lawyer.
Yeah.
I am only
Yes,
licensed
please
to
compare me
practice
to a
the
lawyer.
law of real estate
Yes.
in Oklahoma.
Yeah. And you do have to have a license.
Do people ever try to skirt that law?
Well, this is an interesting fact. For sale by owners, if they try to act like a real estate agent, or let's say this, say they have someone else sell the house for them that's not a licensed realtor,
Yeah.
they could get called before the commission. So if they have a friend that's not a realtor try to sell the house for them, that's a no-no.
Well, if you want to talk to somebody who knows what she's doing, somebody who does it for a living, somebody who's licensed, somebody who's trained, somebody who's got experience, that's Stacey Carnes. Before we get going, what is your phone number?
At 580-821-4804.
Now, your position is that actually buying a home or selling a home, either one, can be an enjoyable experience. It can be fun.
It is fun, yes. I love working with first-time home buyers. They're super excited. I like working with everyone. First-time home buyers, they're excited. You get to walk them through the whole process. They really don't know what to expect. So when you get to see the reaction of each step that you go through, it's fun.
It is. I know this from experience. If you've lived, let's say you live in apartments for years, maybe in college or just after college, you've been in an apartment for 3, 6, 8 years, and then finally you decide, okay, I want my own place. I want to be able to drive a nail anywhere I want. And you get your own home.
Yeah.
That is such a feeling of accomplishment.
It really is. And you're investing your money into yourself. So when you're renting, you're paying somebody else's mortgage. Plus you have tax write-offs when you own your own house. When you don't have kids, you're paying more to the government. You don't have as much taxes. So a house helps.
And then not too terribly long ago, I started changing my mindset on a house payment. It's an investment. It's what it is. When you make a house payment every month, you're not throwing money away. You're making an investment in your own property.
Right. And then did you know if you make one extra payment a year, that can take off 6 to 8 years off of your mortgage?
Just one?
Just one. Yes. You have to designate it to principal only when you make your payment. But yes.
Wow.
That's a big difference. 2 extra payments turns it into a 15-year note. The biggest thing I tell my buyers is, because we are so dominant oil field and our whole town, will thrive on that, and then sadly we'll go down on that. Not necessarily do a 15-year note. Do a 30-year note and just pay extra. Because when times are good, just pay more. And then when times are bad, you can just have your normal house payments.
Do you get people actually doing 15-year notes?
You do. Because sometimes interest rate is a little bit less, but if you really average it out, where it could be stressful at some point, if you are oil field, then it would be worth it just to do a 30-year.
So to be safe, go with the 30-year, but then if you've got the extra cash, just make extra payments along the way.
Yes. A lot of the young people I work with, I tell them, when you get your tax return, I guess some people still get money back, just make an extra payment then.
I've heard of that.
I don't know what that is, but hey.
96.5 KECO is the early morning show. We're talking to top realtor Stacey Carnes, United Country Wilson Realty, getting real estate ready. Probably, for most people, I guess a home is their largest investment they will make.
It is, and it's very emotional because it's a 30-year commitment. It doesn't mean you're going to live there 30 years, but you're signing a mortgage for 30 years.
Do you find we become more mobile in society over the last however many years. Do you find more people buying homes, staying there a year, 2, 3, and then selling again? Is there a lot more movement that way?
There is a lot more movement. When I grew up, we stayed in the same home forever. I didn't move when I was a kid. Now the average turn is about 5 to 7 years. So I tell people, when you're looking for your first home, this is not your forever home. So it doesn't need to have everything on the list. You don't have to go for the super expensive home. What's fit your needs now.
Affordability is so important
Yes,
when you are making the monthly payments.
Yes, don't live beyond your means.
All right, let's say somebody out there is ready to look at a home. Where do they begin? We talked about this a few weeks ago. In fact, I think it was the first time you visited with us, that some people have a tendency to want to go for the dream home first.
Right.
Okay, but for the people wanting to look at a home, where do they begin? How many do they look at in one day? Should they get locked into one home? Should they keep their options open?
Well, if you're a real indecisive person, I wouldn't recommend looking at more than 5 in one day. Usually after you look at 3, they tend to start to run together a little bit. Take pictures. I usually print out, it's called an MLS sheet, to hand them as we go into each house. So it gives them information on the home with pictures. So, but if you look at 10 in one day, that's a lot. You're not going to remember everything. So, but when you find the right home, you don't need to keep looking. Let's stop there. If it has found, you found everything that you want in the house, that's the one. If you have that feeling, that's the one.
Do people have a tendency to get in a hurry and try to go too fast when buying a home? I've had trouble myself with impatience. You just want to hurry up and get it done, hurry up and find a home and get in it.
Yes, all the time. People just get really excited. Homes are typically bought on emotions. So when we talked a couple weeks ago about your house smelling good and all that, this is why. Because people get super excited. It's bought on emotions.
This is great. I want it now. Where do I sign?
Yes, we love that.
It's going to take a little bit. We have to do some paperwork
It does
first.
take about 45 days. So, and there's a lot of waiting periods. You have to negotiate your offer, and people have a hard time waiting.
Does a home buyer, if somebody who's looking for a home, do they generally have something very specific in mind? Do people go into it knowing what they want in a home, or are they just going at it wide open?
Well, sometimes. Most people know generally they want 3 bedrooms, 2 baths. If they've never looked before, then I say, let's just get out there and look at some, and then I can get a better feel once we get in a house of what they like. And I always tell them just to be real honest with me. They're not hurting my feelings. It's not my house. You need to tell me what you like and don't like.
Do you find yourself becoming, at times, a bit of a therapist?
Oh, I just had this conversation with someone the other day. Yes, people tell me everything. And I mean everything. I think it's a gift.
Maybe you just put people at ease.
Maybe. Yeah.
And I can see when you're buying a home, it is a life-changing thing.
Yes.
It can be very emotional. And so I could see where people would have things going on in their life and they run into somebody who is, there to help them. They may want to share.
Yes, they do like to share.
All
I
right.
do love to help.
All right. Well, share with me your thoughts on when buying a home, fitting it into your budget. Do people need to have a hard dollar figure in mind?
They do. They need to know what they can afford payment-wise. So if they're paying rent right now, say $700 a month, well, let me back up. When people go online, they see these mortgage calculators. Those are very misleading. You need to talk to a realtor or a loan officer, and we'll tell you exactly what your payments, or closer to what your payments will be, because your payments will include your property taxes and your insurance and sometimes a monthly mortgage insurance premium, depending on your loan type.
So is that part of
That's
what
part
you
of your
do?
payments.
Is that part of what you do? Do you help
Well,
people try to figure out what they can afford?
Yes. And then, yes, I do help them with that. So when we're going through looking at houses and figuring out what their budget is, if they want a $150,000 house, I'll tell them what their payment will be on that.
96.5 KECO is the early morning show for the Terry's Furniture Showroom Studio. Talking to top realtor Stacey Carnes, United Country Wilson Realty. When we began this morning, I asked you how busy you had been. We're in basically middle of September now. School's been going on. We're past Labor Day. But does it continue? Does the buying and selling of homes continue, even with school in session?
It does. And usually after Labor Day, we get another little burst. So people they're in school mode. Now they can kind of refocus and start looking again. And a lot of people want to buy before the end of the year if they're investors. They need to get some things purchased for taxes.
How is the rental property market right now?
Honestly, I don't really handle rentals. I hear about it because my broker has some rental properties. People are in all the time asking for rentals.
That was one of those issues back in 12, 13, 14 when
Yes.
when there were a million trucks flying down the highway at all times and the oil
Yeah.
field was just booming and booming, people couldn't find rental property.
Right.
And I wonder if that didn't turn people around to make them want to buy more.
Some did. But if they weren't going to be here long term, then no, they didn't want to buy.
Do you find that there are hot areas of town? Let's take Elk City, for instance. This is
Yes.
specifically where you're located. Are there hot areas of town? People say, I want to go. Maybe they don't even have a house in mind, but they say, I want to go live in the blank area.
Right. Country Club area is good. If you go like by the Baptist Church, that's Grandview Edition. That neighborhood, even though it was built in the 80s, that has always retained its value. It's a good neighborhood. Beautiful trees. It's a nice neighborhood. Some of the homes are dated, but if you can get one at a good price, then you could fix one up. Then you're putting your own equity into a house, which is really good to be able to put your own equity in.
The old saw in real estate is the most important things are location, location, location.
That's
Is that true?
It's very true. People right now are really wanting to flip houses, and it needs to be in a good location.
Is that because of HGTV? All this house flipping, is it
Yes.
because of HGTV?
Yes, and if everyone says, we watch those shows on HTV, I know what we're talking about.
Oh, I can do this. Yeah,
Yes.
flipper. I've seen this done. Oh no, I've got it. Let's do this.
But I do like that they watch it because then they get a good idea. But when it comes to negotiating, it's not like what you see on TV. Let's just be
Okay,
real
well that was
clear
going to
on
be my follow-up question.
No,
How accurate are those shows?
They're not. They have that planned out before the show starts, right? Chip and Joanna Gaines already have the house picked out.
Or the couple,
Right.
the couple, they're getting a divorce, but they're still together on the show. Tarek and
yeah.
and his wife.
Yeah.
Oh, will we get this home? You're on TV. Of course you're going to
Right.
get this home. They're
Right.
going to sell you the home, and then you're going to turn around and make $800 million.
Yes, exactly.
It's a TV show. We know how this works. We've been talking this morning to top realtor Stacey Carnes, United Country Wilson Realty. She's helping you get real estate ready. Buying and selling both can be fun. But usually if you're selling, usually it means you're going to buy a bigger home or you're starting a
Yes.
new career somewhere.
Right.
So that aspect of it can be fun.
They can because they're making money. And that's what we want.
Cha-ching!
Yes, you want to make money on your house. And that's what I want for you too.
All right, here's a softball, but hit it out of the park. How good an investment is real estate?
It's the best investment, and really in Western Oklahoma, because when the recession hit the United States, did you know Oklahoma did not feel the effects like the rest of the country? Oklahoma City was the #1 recession-proof city. I mean, that's impressive.
That is impressive.
Yes.
Oklahoma City was #1.
Yes.
Nice.
Yeah. So it is good to be in Oklahoma.
And real estate is a solid, sound investment. You know why?
It
For
is.
one thing, they're not making any more. Have you noticed that? They're not making more land.
Right. If you have land, people always call for land. Always. There's not enough land out there to sell.
There you go. Get real estate. Invest in it because you're investing in yourself. Stacey Carnes, United Country Wilson Realty. People have more questions or they want to follow up on some of the things we've talked about today, or somebody just wants to buy or sell a home. How do they reach you?
580-821-4804, or you can get on my website at staceycarnes.com.
Stacey Carnes, Stacey,
Yes.
Carnes.com
Yes.
is the web address.